everyone, and welcome back to another storytime video. Today, I am going to be talking about the worst coworker that I have ever had. Now, a couple of years ago, I talked about a coworker that I didn't like. The main difference between that person and this person I'm going to talk about today is that the person I'm going to be talking about today is so much more of a jerk, and I had to work a lot more with this person than I did the other person I talked about a couple of years ago. So it is coworkers are a lot worse or better when you work with them day in and day out. Well, not day in, day out, in terms of every physical day, but just every work day. And, you know, you can tolerate them more if you're not having to deal with that person all the time, is basically what I'm getting at. So, this was back when I worked at the Mexican restaurant that I have talked about a couple of times in these storytime videos. I actually need to retell a story or two that I've told about this place. That might come soon. Don't know. But regardless, I was working at the Mexican restaurant, and I had, I think at this point, 7 months. Well, not at the climax. I had 7 months. I think I had 5 or 6 when this started to escalate. So when this person started, this person was a busboy the whole time. Now, I think I mentioned in talking about the job in general, my first job storytime video, I talked about that I was a busboy and a dishwasher. I had the ability to do both, and sometimes throughout the week, I was both. Not on the same day, but, I could do both right away if he needed me to do so. When this person got hired on to be a busboy, I was a dishwasher. This was when I was a dishwasher. I was a busboy and dishwasher on and off. Although, early on, this was the last consistent time I was a dishwasher. Before I was pretty much fully moved to busboy for the rest of my time there. But when I did get moved to busboy, that is when I started to notice that this guy is not that great of a person to work with. And from what I've seen in general, from people talking about him, or what I've heard in general, I don't think this guy is that good of a person in general. Could be wrong. I haven't really wanted to socialize with him outside of this place, but after this video, I don't think you'll blame me. So, first off, I just want to say that busboys typically work Friday nights, which is the busiest night of the week. Saturday nights, because it can get really busy. Sometimes it's as busy as Friday nights. Sometimes they're dead. And I mean dead. So Saturdays are a big wild card. Sunday mornings are typically very, very busy as well. I guess not as crazy as Friday nights, but still there. You need pretty much everyone. And I started to notice that when he never worked on Saturday night, and it annoyed me. Well, it always annoyed me when there was a very busy Saturday night and I was just stuck being basically the only busboy there on a busy Saturday night equivalent to a Friday night. And then one day I asked my boss about that when this guy was still there, which I never confronted this guy about it. I didn't confront him, but I did ask him one day. Well, I asked this guy before I asked my boss. I'm kind of remembering some details as I tell the story, but I asked this guy in a nice tone. I was like, hey, why didn't you come in last night? Like, oh, well, I was with my girlfriend. It's like, okay. So then I asked my boss at the time, like, hey, is this true? Because it just seemed like a weird excuse. I don't know. I have good work ethic. I don't believe in just missing work for the heck of it. But apparently this guy would go out of town with his girlfriend. Now, if any of you know what that means to go out of town on a Saturday night with somebody that you really like and love, I'm pretty sure some of you can guess what they were doing. But that's not the point. Basically, this guy back then, I don't know if he still does now. Don't know the guy. Don't care to know the guy. Nowadays, I don't hate this guy. I just want to get that out of the way. I don't like him. If I saw him again in my life, even one time, like 40 years down the road, well, any time in my lifetime, it would be too soon. If I went my whole life without seeing this guy again, I would be a little bit happier. Regardless, this guy used to have anger issues. Like, sometimes he'd get mad and pound on the walls and stuff, like back toward the kitchen and stuff. You're not gonna pound on walls in front of the people that are trying to eat. I can't imagine anyone being that stupid. And the last day that he was there, it was on a Sunday morning. Now, this was just as the rush was getting there. So it we weren't that far into the workday. Uh, we'd been open. We were open for an hour at this point, so the rush really hadn't set in. But I was the busboy in charge of bringing out chips and salsa, and he was in charge of cleaning the tables. So basically, in short, I would be busy before he was busy, and he would be busy after I was not busy. And so, my boss, to have me not be so bored, and, well, not bored, I wasn't bored, I shouldn't put it like that. Uh, for me to do something productive, he had me cleaning the menus. Now, we would clean the menus in a little room. Well, it's not a room. In a little section of the restaurant in between the dining area and the kitchen. Now, it's just you turn a little corner there, so if you wanted to see that section uh, from the restaurant part, the main restaurant part, you wouldn't be able to see it. It's like that employees only thing just past that, and it's just a little room. It's not a room. Why do I call it a room? It's a little area. But regardless, I was cleaning menus in there, so it was a little bit tough for me to know what was going on. But still, I should have paid more attention to what was going on, given what time it was, because I knew that a big rush was going to come. But a lot of people come in at one time, and this guy comes from the main restaurant part to where I was cleaning menus, and he basically comes back there shouting, like, well, not really shouting, but he raised his voice. He was like, "Hey, what are you doing? There's a lot of tables without chips and salsa!" And I guess I just sat there and took it. I was gonna respond after he got done venting. Well, it's not venting, but after he got done being mad. Uh, by the time he got done, my boss at the time, I don't know if he heard this guy raising his voice, or he just so happened to be walking toward the kitchen and he passed by it and he kind of heard it and that got his attention, or what? I think it's the latter, and that he was walking toward the kitchen and that got his attention. But he basically stopped him, interrupted him, and told him that he would. The a boss told him that he would deal with me later, and that he made him do something else. I don't know what. But needless to say, I was running marathons right after that, trying to get chips and salsa out. Which I have a couple of problems with that, with not being, with not helping like that. I mean, sure, you can help or not. That's fine. I mean, this guy didn't like me. I guess. Well, he doesn't like me. But uh, instead of standing there and yelling at me, you could A, be helping me in that time, and if you don't want to help me during that time, you can B, yell at me after I catch up, because the time you are taking to raise your voice at me, not yell, I shouldn't have said yell, to raise your voice at me is time I could have started to catch up. So it accomplishes nothing to do that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, at the end of that work day, the trash can by the totes and stuff where you put the dirty dishes there so that the dishwashers can come and pick it up and, wash the dishes. That trash can was full. So, before the busboy or boys, however many there are that day, leave, you have to take out the trash if it's full. Now, you just take it out back. It's not a big deal. It just takes a couple freaking minutes. But my ex-boss tells my jerk coworker to take the garbage out. He didn't ask him, didn't ask me. When the two of us, when it was basically dead and we could go home, I was kind of up at the front desk where the cash register is. He was figuring out server stuff, the booklets and all that stuff that they write down your order in. Yeah, those booklets. He was figuring out stuff with that, counting money, doing whatever a business owner does, a boss does. And the jerk coworker was cleaning a table. And my ex-boss tells him that he needs to take out the trash. Now, this jerk coworker has a real problem with it, and so he left. He left that day, and he left and never went back. He never came back. And I took out the trash, which wasn't a big deal at all. Of course. But, yeah, the rest of my time at the Mexican restaurant was great because if you're in food service or retail, dealing with jerk customers is one thing. Dealing with jerk coworkers is another thing. But yes, guys, I guess leave your stories down in the comments below of any terrible coworkers, whether they were incompetent, they were jerks, or both. I'd like to hear them. And see us, guys. I do believe that will do it for this storytime video. And next storytime video, I will see you later. Goodbye, guys. Thank you all for watching.